Shall I just get really raw? Like, I'm not going to hold anything back. If you want to know the real Liam Ryan, this is what I am going
That's
to
the plan,
tell,
man.
because I'm pretty confident I can share some stuff which will resonate with the audience. And if I can help motivate someone today to take action, to change their life, to become successful, because like you, like me, I am just a normal guy. I'm just a normal guy, and I've had my own personal struggles. I've had personal struggles when I was a child, and I still have struggles today. But let's just go back to childhood. So my mum and dad had me when they were really young. My mum was 19, my dad was 21, my dad was in the army, and my mum and dad came from poor backgrounds. So they had me very young, and they broke their marriage. They divorced when I was just under 3 years of age. And what I remember of it is not a lot, but I remember something like, who do I want to live with? Do I want to live with my mum, or do I want to live with my dad? And I chose my mum, and I'm a mummy's boy. And my dad went off into the army, and he became really successful in the army. He went in at 16, and he worked the ranks, and went all the way to the top in the army. But I didn't see my dad that much. And I grew up with my mum, and my mum got remarried. And when I was 6 years of age, my mum had her second child with her new husband, and my brother was born, Austin. So Austin's 6 years younger than me, and we were really, really close. And what happened into that marriage is that there was a lot of violence, and my mum's husband would beat my mum, and he would beat me, and it was really scary. Like, I don't know if anyone else has been in a situation, but I was scared to go to sleep. And all I ever wanted to do at the age of 7, 8, 9 years of age, I just wanted to protect my mum and wanted to protect my brother. So it was pretty scary. And through that process, I said to myself, I want the best life for us as a family. And at one point, I lived with my grandma, because it was too difficult and dangerous for me to be living with my mum. And eventually I went back to my mum, and I just want to say thanks, Grandma. She's no longer with us, but she was there and she took me in. And what happened is we ended up living in a women's refuge. And I remember this one night. It was cold, it was damp, and there was me, my mum, and my brother. And we're sitting huddled together with this itchy, smelly blanket around our necks, this like brown blanket. And we were eating from a cold tin of spaghetti bolognese. And in the corner of my eye, out on the street, there was this flickering light. And it was really cold, and it was raining. And I said in that moment, I want to have a great life. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get us out of this women's refuge, and to help my mum buy a house, and to be the best brother I can. And from that age, there was this drive and determination that I just wanted to be successful, because I associated money with success. We finally got a council flat, and lived on this council estate. And there wasn't a day that didn't go by where I wasn't nervous, or I wasn't not quite sure of myself. But I wouldn't tell anybody that. I put on a brave face. I would always give it 200%. Whatever I did, I gave it 200%. I wasn't the best academically. I was dyslexic. I couldn't read and write properly, but I gave it my best. And what happened in secondary school, as before I went to secondary school, living in the council estate, I would spend my Saturdays and my evenings in the local newsagents just reading these magazines and being obsessed with guys like you in these amazing suits, and women dressed in beautiful dresses, and fast cars and yachts and Rolexes, and I didn't know there were Rolex at the time, but just fancy opulent items. And I started to imagine and vision my life as someone very, very successful. So that was my early years. I went to school, And my mum introduced me to a friend of hers called Tim. He was a market trader, and he used to have these big markets, and he'd have the headset on. And I used to go and spend time with Tim. And I said, Tim, I could sell this stuff at school. So I became the kid in secondary school that could get you whatever you wanted. I used to go in with 2 bags, my jeans and, the school bag I wasn't that interested in. And then the real bag with perfumes and jeans and T-shirts and knockoff gear. And I really loved that, because I would buy something from Tim for £10, go and sell it for £20, and this thing in the middle was profit. And people really admired me and respected me, and I really enjoyed that. So, you know, I grew up probably years ahead of my time, and what most people do as kids I probably didn't do. I was focused on survival. I was focused on how can I make as much money as possible so I can get my mum off the council estate. That was my drive.
Wow. Amazing. And respect. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, I've heard part of the story before, but never heard this detail. Based on that, I've got 10 more questions, but I know time is limited here, so I'm going to try to kind of take you back and forth. I heard a story with Tim once before, somewhere you mentioned. I mean, who was your very first mentor in terms of buying and selling and communicating with people? Because ultimately, you are the best communicator. And I think that has helped you, which leads me to another question, and that is, does everybody has to have Liam Ryan's communication skills to become like you, or what?
Okay, so a couple of things there. So, you know, I didn't really see Tim as a mentor,
right,
but I suppose looking back on it, he was there and he gave me an opportunity. I started to knock on doors for Zenith Windows at the age of 15, after school, in the evenings, all day Saturdays, all day Sundays. That really helped me who I am today, because the more no's you get, the closer you are to a yes. And I used to be on commission only, and you'd get £25 for every time you got a lead, where a sales rep went into the house, and as long as they gave a quote, I'd get 25 quid. I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And literally I became obsessed with door knocking. I ended up becoming the best ever door canvasser in the UK for Zenith Windows, broke all the records. And so when I left school, so I had like people there, like team leaders and managers. I would always look up to really successful people, and I would trust in what they were telling me, and I would always go and look for some type of guidance. So yes, I had elements of mentors at an early age, for sure. And you know, in terms of and that was brilliant, because I used to go in the evenings, I used to get thousands of doors slammed into my face every single week. And I really learned how to build desire quickly and take someone from having no interest and then booking an appointment in a 5, 10, 15, 20 minute situation. And if anyone's still doing door knocking, one of the best tips I can give you is, as soon as the door opens, put your foot in it, because then they can't slam it without hurting you. Exactly. So that was pretty incredible. And if we look at communication, I suppose doing that door knocking really helped me to understand how to read a situation. And very quickly, you've only got 4 seconds to make an impression. So as soon as that door opens, I've got 4 seconds to do something, say something. So I would spend time with different hooks at the beginning, different ways to open as soon as someone opened the door, tonality, pace, a smile, not smiling, foot in the door, not in the door. And through repetition, you then find what works for you. So no one needs to be a Liam Ryan to go and get success. What people need is they need to be themselves, and they can master what I do and use models that I teach. But ultimately, no one needs to be Liam Ryan. You know, if you're trying to be somebody else, then you're not authentic to yourself and who you are. Every single person tuning into this is incredible. Every single person can do extremely well. Be yourself, be authentic, but what you probably need to do is you need to upskill with things that you are lacking. And most people are lacking communication skills, how to build desire, how to overcome objections, resilience, determination, sales skills, marketing skills. Most people lack those skills. So go and learn those skills, improve yourself, and I believe anyone can become a master communicator.
Well, great tip. Now, they say sometimes we are the products of our own families, and obviously you had a very, unfortunately, and I'm sorry to hear that you had a very turbulent childhood. What do you say was the influence of your mom, since you chose your mom, and I had the pleasure of meeting this amazing lady. So on a day-to-day basis, do you think part of who you are now is the product of what mom installed in you?
Yeah, I think your environment's really important, and you know, my mum really did do the best that she could do. It wasn't easy for my mum, but we always had a roof over our head. We always had food on the table. It wasn't always nice food because my mum's a pretty awful cook, to be fair. But no, she did the best that she could do, and she did everything possible for me and my brother to be the best versions of ourselves. She guided us and she taught us good values, to be honest, to be courteous, to work hard and to work smart and not let anyone get in your way. And you know, don't worry about what people are thinking about you. People worry too much about what people think, and I think going through that as a child and then going through school, I think for many years there was this inner part of me that really wasn't sure of myself, and I didn't quite like myself, and I always doubted myself. And people tuning in to this may be going through this right now. And what happened when I was, you know, fairly young, I didn't know this at the time, but I got addicted to things really quickly. I got addicted to door knocking. I got addicted to fruit machines. I got addicted to spending money. I got addicted to taking drugs. And as I moved overseas in my early 20s, I was in an environment where people were drinking every day. I was 20 years of age. People were taking cocaine every day. And it wasn't long before I became a daily alcoholic, and I didn't know I was an alcoholic or cocaine addict at the time, but drugs certainly took over my life. And I was living overseas. I was making a hell of a lot of money working for a sales and marketing lead generation company. You know, I was sometimes making 10, 20, 30,000 pounds a month, you know, their top salesperson. But that came with you know, partying hard. And in your early 20s, you can live on 2 or 3 hours sleep. But eventually the drugs literally took over my life, nearly cost me my life. And at the age of 28, I started this journey of rehabilitation. Went to a rehab, the Priory in Chelmsford, got 60 days clean. Then for 2 years started to use again, then went back into a rehab, Roehampton Priory in London, then went out to South Africa and started to work on myself, lived in South Africa for a while. And, you know, went on this journey to recover from drugs and alcohol, and it was up and down, up and down, up and down. But as of today, you know, I'm 2012. Yeah, I'll be, you know, I'm 12 years, you know, without 12 years, no alcohol, 12 years, no cocaine. Yeah, thanks very much. Yeah. So yeah, there's all this. So that's the real Liam. No, drug addict, alcoholic, used to hate myself, and now I love myself and I love the people around me.
It's funny when people look at you now, they see that you know, this product of your own making, and they don't see all this. So that's why I thought it was important to show that you are just another human being with a past, with some even dark parts of that past that you've actually conquered it, which means everybody can do it, really. Because a lot of time people do blame their parents, they blame their environment, and they're not willing to get out of it. So let me ask you this question now. You are looking at magazines and you saw the Rolexes, and now you're wearing multiples, and every time I see you, you know, you wear a new Rolex or something amazing. So tell me, what's the biggest? I know some of us heard stories where, you know, the company folded and other things. But what do you say on a personal level? Because they say setbacks makes legends, you know. Everybody to a degree can become successful, but it's the the major setback. I know one in my life, which I think you heard the story before, but what was it on a personal level that really attacked you, and you became the Liam now, and you will never ever go back to that time? Not the drugs. I'm talking more like a business setback.
Oh, a business setback. Okay, so
somebody or something that stabbed you in the back.
I made my first million at the age of 21. My first million, and it was a dream of mine ever since looking at the magazines at the age of 7-8 years of age. And I remember opening up my offshore bank account. We used to bank in Latvia back in the day, and I lived offshore, and I opened the bank account and there was 1 and 6 zeros.
Wow.
£1 million. And I called my mum sobbing, "Mum, we've done it. We've made it. We are millionaires." And I sent my mum money back. She bought a house. She opened up a business. Her life started to change. I went and bought some more cocaine.
As you do.
As you do.
This sounds like the Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of scenario.
So that was a real great thing, right? And fast forward a number of years, and I'm in the UK back in 2015, and I lose a business, and I lost everything. I had a renewable energy business, 115 staff. It was one of the worst periods of my life. I was not getting managed accounts. I knew the business was crumbling, and then the government pulled the plug on renewable energy tariffs, and it just killed the business. And over 3 days, DRE, my business went from 115 staff down to sub 10. Eventually, the company liquidated, and the liquidation figure was minus £392,000. I literally was running on fumes. I'm living on interest-only credit cards. I had all these millions of pounds in my 20s, but I never knew how to manage it or to invest it and how to multiply it. I just thought the harder you work, the more you're going to get. Now you've got to work smart, not work hard. Yeah. And actually, it's not about making more money. It's about using the money that you're making and deploying that into investments. And I'm sure we can talk about that in another episode. But that, for me, was a huge blow, because I could barely look my partner in the eye. I could barely look my kids in the eye. But through that process, I met now my wife. She worked for me, Holly. She was one of my marketing girls. Through that process, I've now had 2 more beautiful children. Through that process, I started this journey of self-development, and I was at a training provider where I invested £25,000 into a mentoring program, using interest-only credit cards, selling stuff on eBay, calling friends and family members. Where there's a will, there's a way. And the loss of that business was the turning point for this chapter over the last 10 years. And 10 years ago, when I started to get mentored, it was like, I just need £5,000 a month to pay all my bills. I never knew 10 years ago having mentors, investing myself, would now lead me to where I am today. And it just goes to show that anything is possible. And if you are in a dark place, and if things aren't working for you, and if your relationships are falling, and if your business and you're not making enough money, literally one decision, one investment, one mentor, one strategy can change the game forever. And then you need to kick in that compounding effect. Yeah. So I would say that big loss led me into my new life. Yeah. And the last 10 years have been incredible. I get to work with wonderful people like you, who I call my friend, and you're part of the AFL family, and it's just absolutely wonderful. And now we are the UK's leading property business and wealth training organisation, and people are getting some serious results, and that's because we really care, and we wear our hearts on our sleeves, and we'll kick people's asses, and we'll keep people to account, and we'll also have a hell of a lot of fun.
Absolutely.